current president, Mike Simmons, our current vice president, Kyle Wolf, our current secretary, and Joe, who's our current treasurer, not here. Yeah, but anyway, just wanted to say welcome everybody here. Welcome you guys online today. It's gonna be a little tough for you online because this is going to be kind of a hands-on meeting. So I'm not sure how Zoom works with hands-on with hammers and stuff, but we'll figure it out. All right. So first order of business today is, does anybody want to run for one of the positions, the board positions? We have president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Currently, all four of the people who are in those positions said they'd do it again for another year. But if anybody wants to bump us off, make a power play, have at it. Okay, so the actual elections are next month. We do the actual vote. So, and we'll figure out a way for the people online to vote in November as well. And then November as well will be our potluck dinner. And I think we may try to do a honey tasting. So everybody bring your honey in, and we'll do a little honey tasting contest and see whose honey everybody likes. So that's always fun to do. Okay. Quick announcements. We still have the mentor program going. It's been working out great. If you need a mentor, let us know. That you go online to our website and send an email to mentoring@, houstonbeekeepers.org. I think that's something like that. And then we'll get you hooked up with somebody to help you get started in beekeeping. And now's a good time to do it. We're going to try to connect the mentors and mentees in the November meeting, or at least for sure by the first part of January, so that everybody can get their equipment ordered and understand what they need to do to actually be a beekeeper. Coming up, other meetings is on next Tuesday is the Harris County Beekeepers meeting in Pasadena. And then this Saturday, it's going to be super fun. I hope all you guys, everybody in the club can come out and do this. We're going to Texas Bee Supply in Dayton. We're going to meet there at 10 in the morning in Texas Bee Supply. And the weather's supposed to be about perfect. They're going to give us a tour of Texas Bee Supply, show us how they run their apiary and their whole bee business over there, show us how they do all their stuff. And so that'll be a lot of fun. And then when that's done, we're going to go over to a Lake Houston brewery for lunch and possibly a couple of adult beverages and some more, talking about bees with all your friends here. So that it's from 10 till 11 at Texas Bee Supply. And then after that, we go over for lunch. Yeah, 10 to 1 or 2. Yeah, it depends upon. Yeah, you can stay. Yeah. I think the Uber will come out there and get you if you need them. So that. Okay. And then the big meeting coming up is for the state is Texas Beekeepers Association's having their annual convention. That's going to be in Temple, Texas, and that's on November 3rd through the 5th. Now, those conventions are great. If you've ever been to one before, a lot of y'all come to these meetings all the time. We do one class per month, you might say, of education. And so we get in 11 different classes in the entire year. There, you'll be able to get in 8 to 12 classes in one weekend. So you get in more learning in one weekend than you can get all year here. So it's pretty good deal to go to. And then our next meeting is Tuesday, November 15th, which will be our potluck dinner and actual elections. And now I will turn it over to Mike.
I'm Mike Simmons. I'm the vice president. Been keeping bees for what, about 12 years now, I think, something like that. Been doing sidelining for probably about 10 years, getting close to 10 years. Today we're going to go over assembling equipment. Could go to the next slide. Wanted to plug this one more time. That's a picture of the brewery on the left. It's an awesome view of the lake. Really great. They have a huge outdoor area. Dude said it can hold like 600 people. The beer's pretty good too. And then that's an old picture of Texas Bee Supply. It's actually it's a pretty neat little facility. They have a real cool observation hive inside of it. Then have a off to the left of that picture is a teaching yard. That's where, I don't know if you were at our meeting when we covered splits with Sherry and remember James. Yeah, they're the main teachers at Texas Bee Supply. They came out to do a class with us. They have a little their own apiary for that, for teaching, set up real nice. And off to the right, they got all their hives and where they put nukes and stack them and stuff. And they also, one of the coolest things about that place is, one of the few places you can buy Pro Suite by the gallon. So normally when you get Pro Suite, you'd have to buy like a tote of it, which is like 3,500 pounds of Pro Suite. There you can get just a gallon, or they sell little jugs, 2.5 gallon jugs. I don't like to feed my bees that stuff, but I do like to use it to make pollen patties because it keeps them from drying out once they're in the hive. Okay. Oh yeah. You have to register if you want to come out to that. Texas Bee Supply is going to set us up a spread and stuff, so they need a pretty accurate head count. So they asked that we give them an accurate head count. So we're doing a registration on Eventbrite. You can go to Facebook, the HBA Facebook page, and register that way. Yeah, it's also in the skep as a link to it. The registration ends tomorrow at midnight, so please register before then. So I came up with this slide. I was going to say, why assemble your equipment? Because it's going to save you money, right? So I got on Man Lake's website and I pulled up just one of their hive combo kits. It's $228.95 for, that's a 1 deep, 1 medium, a telescoping cover, inner cover. Hell, actually, you know what? Yeah, inner cover, bottom board. And then I went through and I picked up all their unassembled equipment. They don't actually sell a lot of this stuff unassembled. So they have a telescoping cover with inner cover. You can't get that unassembled. You can get the hive bodies, the deep bodies, the frames, foundation, and the bottom board's already assembled. So then I priced it all, added it all up. So the moral of this slide is, if you're going to buy it from Man Lake, just buy it assembled. That way, if there's anything screwed up on it, it's not your fault and you can return it. But I don't buy my equipment this way. I don't use Man Lake at all anymore. Not that I prefer any specific suppliers. But if you go to the next slide. So if you go and you start buying from different vendors and start getting their bulk discounts, and this is how I actually set my hives up. So I use migratory lids and I use full plastic frames. I don't use wood frames with foundation. And these are the people I buy from most of the time. Or right now, actually changed quite a bit. So sometimes I'll use Miller Bee Supply, sometimes I'll use Dayton. I used to use Man Lake all the time when they used to have awesome sales. They don't seem to have those anymore. So it just depends on, like with the deep frames or the plastic frames, I go back and forth between Acorn and Pureco, depending on who's got the cheapest at the time. And all these prices include shipping. So I can build that same hive. This is enough for 5 hives with double deeps and a super. I can build those same hives for 135 a piece. And then about 5 years ago, I could build them for under $100. So you see how much lumber prices are coming back down now. So for tools and equipment you need to assemble a hive, all you actually have to have is a hammer, a square, and glue. That's all you have to have. The other nice stuff to have is an electric or pneumatic nailer or crown stapler. Me personally, I like to use narrow crown staples. I get 2 different sizes. I think they're 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches and 3/4 inch for frames. And that's all I use to assemble everything. Tonight we're going to use old school gold nails. Some nice other things. If you're going to do wood frames and you're going to build more than 1 or 2 hives worth, a frame jig is the best thing on the planet. We're going to do some manual ones tonight, and then I'll show y'all putting 10 frames together real quick with a frame jig. A dead blow hammer, rubber mallet's nice if you get, depending on where you get your equipment from. Some suppliers are better at milling than others. So sometimes it's nice to be able to beat them into submission. You can use bar clamps if you like. The way most of this equipment is made, it's all made on CNC machines now. The joints are pretty accurate. I don't use clamps anymore. I just beat them into submission, and then I just check to make sure they're square enough. If you're going to build a nice, beautiful cedar hive to put in your backyard in the garden, and you want it to be all pretty with the copper top and all that stuff, you might want to use bar clamps so you get really nice, tight joints. It's nice to have a brush for spreading glue. I've got acid brushes on the table. You can get those from Amazon for like 5 cents a piece or something like that. It's nice to have disposable gloves and apron. I got gloves. I don't have enough aprons for everybody, but it's nice to keep your clothes decent, because if you're like me, make your wife mad, get glue on your nice clothes. So I guess we'll just get into the hands-on part now. So if everybody wants to get to a table, I'll show y'all how I put. So there's, everybody knows there's 30 different ways to skin a cat. So this is how I put my equipment together, but you may have a better way. If you do have a better way and you don't mind sharing, we're listening. Oh, with glue, I forgot to cover glue. Yeah, so when you go get glue, you need to get an exterior grade glue. So there's Type Bond is a good one, but either the Type 2 or the Type 3, either one works fine. If you go to Walmart, they have the Type 2. If you go to Home Depot, they have the Type 2 in the little bottles and the Type 3 in the little bottles. But if you want a gallon, if you're going to do a lot of hives, a gallon will do a lot of hives. This little bottle will do quite a few. But they sell the Type Bond 2 in a gallon. I've used both Type Bond 2 and 3 and Gorilla Glue, and they all, I never noticed the difference between any of them. And then if you want, you can get a fancy glue bot like I got. So the way I like to do supers is I'll set one of the end boards down with the frame rest. Oh, another thing too, some people like to use those metal frame rests. I don't know if y'all seen those. They just go right on here and you nail them. If you're going to use the metal frame rest, the best time to put them on is now before you put the box together. It's easier. But I don't use them because my boxes rot before the frame rest rots. So, and then I just do one joint. So if y'all want to follow along at your table, you just want to make sure you get all the surfaces that are going to come into contact with the other one. So the end on the top, because it's going to come in. That's where this is where all my boxes love to break. It's right here on this small piece right here. Because I'll pry on it because I'm not paying attention. I'm in a hurry. So I do like to put glue on that one. And then I'll do each one of the, wait a minute, I did the wrong end. So I'll do the little spot and then all these, and then I'll get my little brush, little acid brush. They make real fancy glue rollers. They actually work better, but yeah, trying not to. This stuff, once it dries, it's about impossible to get off too. No. Yeah, and if you got hairy arms like me, it really sucks to get on your hands. And then I'll go ahead and put it on. One of the things you have to be careful about with these sideboards is to make sure that the handle's facing outward. I have like three boxes with the handles. I put them on the inside because I put them on the wrong side. And they're super frustrating. And I'll just try to get it kind of snug. No, wait, let me do this side first. Must be warmer in here. This glue doesn't run as fast in my shop. And then after I get these two sideboards on, then I'll put glue on the top of these same joints. It'll be all right. I'll scrape it off. They're the community center's tables though. And then I'll just kind of beat them close together. You're never going to get all the joints tight just by hammering on them. You'd have to use a bar clamp to get them really snug. But when you beat them into, when you nail them together with a hammer, they're going to get pretty square. And then I'll just put 1 or 2 nails in each corner. Usually I'll start at the top, not with that little one. I'll do that with all 4 corners, and then I'll check to see if it's square. Oops. I haven't seen a newspaper in forever. Wow. These are commercial grade boxes, so they're not like the greatest lumber ever. So once I get all of them together and you nail them up, they should be square. All these boxes were CNC milled, so. And then you can use any kind of square. I like using these big ones. Yeah, see, that's actually pretty good lumber right there. That's just barely out of square. By the time I put the rest of the nails in, it'll be good. Sometimes these will be bowed out or bowed in. So if you think it's out of square, it's good to check another corner to make sure this really is out of square. And then if it is out of square, I usually just set it up on a corner, whatever corner I need to. And I'll take a dead blow hammer and beat the bejesus out of it until it's square. This one's actually good though, so all I gotta do is put the rest of the nails in. And then I like to do this little one last. Some people like to use screws. I've used them before. I didn't have any problems with them. Brian said he's seen some issues with them, but oops. I got a whole bag of them. If y'all ever want some extra practice, just let me know. Y'all come over to my shop. I still got like 40 mediums I need to put together. I haven't done one of these by hand in forever. I usually use a pneumatic gun. Already did that one. Better too much glue than not enough. But I mean, I'd worry about it if I was doing a fancy hive.
You know, I like They've got nails going from 2 directions.
What? Yeah. The glue is actually what holds all these boxes together. The nails, after they sit in the sun for a while, the nails aren't really holding that great. Huh? Yeah, I paint mine with, I want to start wax dipping them, but I got all the steel to make a wax dipping tank, but the wax is like $500 to have enough wax to submerge a box. So that's why I haven't actually done it yet. And then you got to buy that other special wax. It's real hard to find. I missed one. Well, those are actually for the bottom board. Yeah, they're fine. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how you, supers, bottom or hive bodies are easy. They're probably the easiest thing to put together. So that one just needs to be painted. Oh, I should have brought my paint gun. Amazon sells a $40 spray gun. If you're gonna have to do more than a few boxes, it's nice. The bottom board comes with a little bit longer nail. Those work fine. Brad nails work fine. Most of the stuff that's gonna hold it together is the glue. With bottom boards, I like to get these. I bought the other one. Like Man Lake sells the bottom part is made out of plywood, and I've always had, even when I keep them painted all the time, I always have problems with the lamination right here on the front of the board, where it's just where the bees come out, you know. So I like these solid bottom boards. They last a lot longer. I used to be able to get these made out of cedar, and they last forever. But the company I used to get them from Western Bee. They quit selling them for some reason. Some people like to glue these joints together. I don't even know what you call that, a dado joint. I never have and never had any problems. I just try to make sure they're together and they're pretty straight. And then it comes with 4 other boards. It's got the side rails. I do like to glue those. Let's run a bead. And then these are reversible, so you do have to make sure the orientation of them's right. So one side's 3/4 inch and one side's. You can use either side for beekeeping, but I prefer to use the 3/4, so I'll end up painting the other side. Just so try to get them to last a little bit longer. And these can sometimes be tricky to get on. So sometimes I'll start at one end, kind of beat them down. That's where a dead blow hammer is nice because it won't mar the wood. Or a rubber mallet works just as good too. And once I get one side on, I'll put a nail like every 6 inches. And then if you have something like where it splits out real bad, the easiest way to, if you care, a lot of times it doesn't even matter. But if you care and you want it to make it look good, the best thing I found to repair boxes is Bondo, the stuff they use on cars to repair car doors and stuff. And then I'll flip it over and you see all the joints are spread back out from me beating on it. So I'll give them a couple love taps. And see, when I try to put this board on, since I kind of marred this a little bit, beating the Jesus out of it, yeah, it's not going to want to go. So I'm going to beat it back into submission. all my bees are in the middle of fields. Like they're not behind anybody's house or anybody's. I really don't care how they look. I just want them to last a long time. You might take your time a little bit more if you're putting them behind your house and you want to show off to the neighbors or whatever.
Are you gonna paint them? Do you paint the outside?
Yeah, I paint all the outside. On the bottom board, I'll paint the bottom of it, whichever side. I don't normally use the 3/8 inch side. Some people do. So I always paint the whole bottom of the board, and then I'll paint up to, you know, a couple inches inside the hive, and then I'll leave this open. And so
this is the bottom, 3/8.
yeah, well, yeah, that's how I do it. So it's a reversible bottom board, so you can use this side if you want. I always use interest reducers in my hives, so I like the 3/4 inch side. When you're putting this other second side on, you got to make sure that you get the 3/8 and the 3/4 to match this side.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll have a lopsided hive the whole. The one thing I've learned, if you buy equipment and you're going to store it before you put it together, is to be careful about moisture content. All this stuff is kiln dried from the manufacturer, from Dayton or whoever you buy it from. So if you let it sit around too long, sometimes one board will swell up. So it's best to keep it in a climate controlled area. This one's being a pain. How's it hitting on? I put a lot of these together, and you always get one that's hard. This one's being a pain. Yeah, see, you see it's kind of starting to, usually what I'll do is I'll take a knife and just run it along the edge. You see where it's starting something's not matching up right. So it's catching on that. But I didn't bring a knife today, so. Come on. Then sometimes that joint came apart a little bit, so I'll do some love taps. And then I'll do the same. Losing all my nails. They're just gonna come with the back pieces. There's also a smaller one and a bigger one. You have to make sure you get the smaller one. The way I like to do it is the bigger one first. Because a lot of times the nails are longer than this and the thickness of the bottom board. So if I do the thicker one first, when I nail this one in, it'll go all the way through all three of them. And then I'll glue this one too. Sometimes these are a little tricky to keep lined up while you're hammering on it. Oops. So that's actually one you might want to use a little clamp on just to hold it while you're nailing it.
Hiding the galvanized nails.
I got a whole, what are you doing? Bigger ones? Oh, got these.
These aren't galvanized. Oh, they're small. These are the big ones.
I've never actually, those are zinc plated instead of galvanized, but I've never actually had a problem using zinc plated nails. They don't rust out before. I always had the wood rots out before the nails do. But an exterior grade nail will last longer. They make coated nails too that work just as good. You see how that's a darker gray than these zinc plated ones?
So these will last longer?
Yeah, those they dip them in galvanized liquid zinc. These they coat them with electroplating. So that it's the same material on the outside, but that's thicker. Stay still. That one's split. If I wanted to, I would pull it out and glue it back together and then just let it dry with glue. I don't care though. It's still going to work just fine. That's the bottom for me too. So even if it falls off, it'll still be usable for me. I'm going to try not to split it anymore. So that's the completed bottom board.
You put both those boards in the same end of your bottom board.
Yeah, big
Okay.
big one, little one. So that's the top and bottom.
Where's your instructions?
They're in the boxes, I guess.
Put one on each end.
One on each end. Whatever. So these are the migratory lids. If you buy a telescope and cover, it's going to come all assembled. Usually, I don't think I've ever seen one that you put together. These are way cheaper, and I actually like these better. I ain't never done them that way, but who needs instructions? What was I saying? Oh, the telescopic covers I think last a little bit longer. So I've got both of them that are several years old, and my migratory lids have rotted out before the telescoping covers have. These are the same thing with the bottom boards. You can glue this joint if you want to. I never do. This one's a little more forgiving too, putting the joints, banging the joints together, because the the board with the dado goes on the end. Different brands of these will have different size cleats. The Dayton brand has, it's actually the small side that hangs over the hive, over the edge of the hive. So it goes on like this, and then when you put it on the box, you put it over the box, it's the small side that keeps it from blowing off. Some other brands of migratory lids have deeper cleats. I don't know why these are so small, but I haven't had any problems with them blowing off, so I keep buying them. These are super simple. You just glue them together. Same way as the bottom board, you got to hammer it on. Sometimes these are actually usually harder though, because you're putting them on the ends. These are usually, I can see this. You can see that board's cupped. It's got a bow to it. It's gonna be fun. Okay, there it goes. And then I like to use these bigger nails on the end board. Like 3 or 4 nails is fine. Oh yeah. And then do the same thing on the other end. I just got that glue bottle. It's like 10 bucks or 15 bucks on Amazon. That thing's worth its weight in gold. Instead of just using the normal bottle that comes in. Like normally most of the time when you buy it at Walmart, it's gonna come in this bottle, which it works fine. You see I've been using it, but that thing is way easier. If you're gonna do a bunch of them, if you're just gonna do 1 hive a year or whatever, might not be worth it. But make sure it's reasonably lined up. Oops. When you buy this stuff, it all comes with instructions too, usually. And if it doesn't, for some reason, usually if you call the company, they'll email them to you or send them to you. If they won't, don't ever buy from them again. And then the only other 2 boards are these cleats that go on the end. They go right here. I do put a little glue on those. I don't spread this.
See how this thing gets put together.
Yeah, not everybody's done one of these. Are these nails long enough? Yeah.
straps don't actually push the edges off?
Huh?
I think those are so the straps don't push it off.
What do you mean?
Ends.
Oh, I think this is just to keep it from bowing.
Think so?
I guess I don't. I just nail them together and they work fine.
Yeah, we were speculating on the reason for that.
One of the things, the tricks I found with these migratory lids, if you do use them, is these joints right here, especially right here. If you caulk those before you paint them, last way longer. They always rot. They always rot right in here and right in here every time because the water stands in them. And if you wanted to, you could nail this together. I don't do it. Not worth the effort. I'm gonna caulk them anyway. And that's a migratory lid. It just goes on top. It's a little small. Close enough though. It'll keep the water out. They look like they'll blow off, but they don't. Mine's been through some pretty bad storms and they've never blown off. And the bees, usually you don't use an inner cover with these. So these go straight on the thing. So they'll propolize the lid to the box too. I've had a couple that went through Harvey way in southwest of Houston and East Bernard, and they were fine. Then my favorite thing is frames. So to do the frames, you need 2 end bars, a bottom and a top. And then these are wedge frame bars. So if these are for wax foundation. If you use plastic foundation, it'll be a groove, and then the bottom board will be grooved. They gave me the wrong. These are actually supposed to be slotted. So a lot of times, usually for wax foundation, it'll be slotted and it'll go all the way through, and it'll be through except for on the ends. Either that, or if you get some old school ones, it'll be 2 separate pieces of wood for the bottom, and then on the end bar, it'll have a little divider in between on the bottom of it. So you take your end bars. Oops. You borrow so you want to separate out the wedge first. So you can either do it with a real sharp knife or a hive tool. It should, here it goes. I actually like to use a knife, but that hive tool works good. And then I like to scrape this down to where it's pretty even. If you use a sharp knife, if you use a razor knife, it works really well. I didn't bring one today. So we're going to put this wedge back in later after we put the fat foundation in, and that's what's going to hold the foundation on the top. So all you need is just a little dab of glue on the top bars. Oops. And then they just slide on. And then a dab of glue on the bottom bars, bottom of the end bars. And it just slides in like that. And then on the top, I like to use the longer nails. They're all over the floor. I think these are like 1 inch. And you're supposed to put 2 of them on each end. I usually do this with a stapler. You just put 1 staple on top and bottom. Yeah, got half of it in. And then on the bottom, you want to use these smaller nails. They're 3/4 inch nails, I think. I think they're like 19 gauge, 18 gauge, something like that. They're real fine. And make sure that it's pushed together. And then do two of these little bitty tiny nails on each one. Man, these nails are tiny. I need to. I just had some. There they are. These things are easy to lose. These are also the same little nails you use on the wedges. Then you really, these are shallows, so they're real small frames. If you're using deeps, they're going to be more prone to being out of square. But you should just go ahead and give them a basic check, make sure they're kind of square. This one's not. I'm just going to force it into square. Yeah, there it goes. Closer. And then once the glue dries, it'll be pretty square. And the B space is anywhere between 7/16 and 3/8 of an inch. So if you're 1/16 of an inch off, it's not that big. It's not the end of the world. Even if you're 1/8 of an inch off and they can't get through on the top, as long as you don't end up with an excessive amount anywhere else where that could actually build burr comb. Oh, and then, so this is thin surplus foundation. This is what you used to do cut comb hunting with. It's probably the hardest stuff to use. Normally, if you get wax foundation for like your brood boxes, they'll have wire in them, and then you'll have little wire tabs that stick out the top. If you get wired foundation, you want the tabs sticking out, and then you'll put it where the little wire hooks go underneath the wedge. These don't have it though, so you have to put the stuff's a pain in the ass. So you slide it in the bottom. And once you get in the slide, it'll line up with the top. Put the wedge back in, flip it over, and put 3 or 4 of them tiny nails. If you're gonna put a lot of stuff together with nails, it's best to just buy a pound of them from the bee suppliers. You'll end up using them eventually. If I can get this bag to open. And then you got to do this without. Usually I put them at an angle. Just one place you got to be kind of careful because you don't want to punch a hole in your foundations. You just put in. Nails are actually a little bit too long. They're sticking out the top. Yeah, I use actually, you know what? I haven't because I never use wax foundation. I always use, these are what I buy. These are which ones are these? These are Peerco. I buy the acorn ones too. I can't tell the difference between them. They come pre-coated with beeswax already. I like to put a little bit more wax on them. I just take a block of wax and rub it on it, and that gets them to draw it out pretty straight. And then if they do start drying it out crazy, the best way I found is if you catch it early before it's full of brood and stuff, just smash it down, and they'll clean it up. And when they clean it up, they'll draw it out the next time straight. God, I forgot how much I hate wedge tops. So that's one completed frame. If you're doing it really old school, you would wire the frames. If you use the old wax foundation that wasn't pre-wired, you'd want to whack those holes in the end bar to run wire through, and you using a better tool and smash it into the wax. I've never actually done it that way, but this is cut comb honey. These little shallows are for cut comb honey, so I want to be able to cut these out, so I don't want any wires in there. And then I'll show you all the easy way to put frames together is to have a jig. So if you're going to put too many frames together, I would definitely build one of these. I guess y'all want to wait for everybody to.
Yes, you can demonstrate this, yeah. We do that hot tool. We had to take our little splitter off of ours.
Oh, the wedge.
You want them off, right?
Yeah. So this one, it does 10 frames at a time.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And it keeps them all perfectly square. Let me go get some more end bars. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 more. Six, 7, 8. I'm gonna let everybody else get caught up, and then I'll show you all the frame jig. These are brad nails. I wouldn't use these on anything but frames. These are super skinny. They don't have a lot of strength to them. They work pretty good on frames. Usually I do use my stapler, but I didn't want to bring a compressor because I only have a pneumatic stapler. But you can actually run this stapler with a really small compressor. And I got this from Harbor Freight. It was like 20 bucks. And I've done a couple hundred highs with it. And it takes, these are the staples it takes. I use these for frames, and I use them for boxes and bottom boards. I put everything together with these pretty much. Oh, I need to get these top bars ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can do this with a nail. If you use plastic foundation, you don't have to jack with this wedge. Yeah, you can buy it all. Huh?
You can buy it, build it, or you can.
Yeah, you can buy them already assembled. Like I had earlier this year, I had a guy call me and he wanted bees on his property ASAP, and he was willing to pay for everything. So I was like, okay, if you're going to pay for everything, I'm going to go buy all assembled equipment. So I went to Texas Bee Supply and I just bought everything assembled. Actually, I bought it assembled and painted. It was nice, but it was expensive. I think I probably paid, I got 10 or 11 hives and I spent I had some of the piece. I had all the lids already. I had all the inner covers. I think I bought deeps with boxes and I spent like $900 for 11 hives.
Yeah, but you know, it got so tough out here. We want
6 more top bars. Oh, the wedge. Yeah, just splitting it off. These are some companies do their kerf a little deeper than others. Oops.
get some of those things off.
You got a real nice. One thing I forgot to bring. So I wonder if this will work better. Well, hey, it works pretty good too. That actually ain't gonna be holding much because I'm not using hook wired. Yeah. It mostly just sits in there, that thin surplus.
So you like to do this where you do them all together.
Yeah, it keeps them straight. It's way faster, especially if you use like a electric or a pneumatic. I actually haven't. I use all plastic frames now. These are all the frames I use.
Why won't my bees make comb on those? Some of those. Sometimes they won't make comb on a plastic frame. I don't know.
Well, I'm like, cause I usually buy the cheapest plastic frames they have. I don't buy the double dipped or whatever. So they don't put a lot of beeswax on there. So what I'll do is I'll take a block of wax before I throw it in the hive and I'll just rub it on it real quick.
Okay, you just get some wax that you.
Yeah, just regular old beeswax and just
do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they seem to draw them out fine. Sometimes I'll get them where they'll try to draw like in between the frames sideways. As long as you catch it early, where they haven't filled it, even if it has some honey in it, as long as it doesn't have like brood and stuff in it, just take it and smash it with your thumb. And then
make them redo.
Yeah, and they'll redo it with all that extra wax there. They'll reuse that wax supposedly, or they'll chew it up, whatever. And then when they draw it out the next time, it'll be straight. That I've had that a bit, especially with newer hives. when they're first drawing it out. But once you get it straight, it's fine. And the wood frames are probably a little more durable than the plastic ones. The black plastic ones, you do have to be careful if you leave them out in the sun and they don't have comb on them, they will warp. If you just leave them sitting out in the sun in July.
So after you take that, extract the honey, and then you put the frames and all the equipment out there and let the bees come clean it up. Then what do you do? So you got these empty things. You don't want to put them back on the hive.
I usually put mine back on the hive.
Just put them right back on.
Yeah, I just leave them on there. I'll leave them until winter.
Okay.
So I don't want to leave a bunch of space in wintertime when the hive gets really small, because then you'll get wax moth up there.
So you might have 4 or 5 supers that are empty on the hive.
I usually only keep 1 super on each hive. Yeah, and then if I have to pull them off, then I'll use pair them off.
Yeah.
If I have to store them,
Yeah.
I'll put them in my shop and I'll stack them up. I use migratory lids, so I'll put 1 migratory lid under the bottom, seal it in. I'll put a strap around it.
And that's how you keep the wax moths out or something?
Yeah, stack them up and you buy, it's called paramoth. It's parachlorobenzene. And they're mothballs. You can buy this, you can buy the stuff from Man Lake or Dayton or any of the suppliers. It's specifically for bees, or you can buy the same exact chemical on Amazon for half the price. And then you put that on top. The only thing is, after you take the parachlorobenzene, when you want to put the supers back on the hive, is to let them sit outside for like a week.
I see. And so they're sitting out there, and the old wax is there and everything. You just that keeps the wax moths and the little beetles down there.
Yeah. I mean, usually, well, I just started like last year keeping deeps. Before that, I kept all mediums. So with everything being a medium, even my brood chambers, I would take a lot of my drawn comb and I would use it for splits. So that way I could split bees off that on to already drawn comb.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't keep a lot of drawn comb around.
So if I'm worried that I have wax moths in my hive, is there anything I can do?
The only reason you have wax moth in your hive is because your hive's too weak for the amount of space it has. So you need to reduce the amount of space that's in the hive. Yeah.
Because I can see the little worms down on I saw a couple of worms down on the floor.
Now, see if you have a real dirty bottom board, or especially if you're using screen bottom boards. Yeah, they'll grow in that. They'll grow those wax moth and small hive beetle will grow in that debris on the bottom.
Keep that clean.
Yeah. You don't put it in a hive. It'll kill bees just as well as it kills everything else. They make some bottom boards that are specifically designed for that. So they have a screen, and then underneath that is diatomaceous earth. Yeah, so the bees can't touch the diatomaceous earth. Those are fine, but you can use it around the bottom of your hives. Just don't make sure it doesn't get in the hive, because it will kill bees.
Okay, it's better on the bottom.
They fly. Yeah, you can't keep them out. So as long as you have a strong hive, though, they'll keep that and then put them in the hives in full sun. For some reason, in the shade, the bees don't like it. The small hive beetles don't like it either. So, well, I just keep all my hives are in full sun. Well, I have one yard that they're not, which I hate, but they seem to do better with small hive beetle when they're in full sun.
So then when you put this stuff in, you fit it into the frames. You run the wire back and forth. Is that what you do? To hold it in
Well, that's thin surplus. So that's for cut comb honey. So I won't use any wire. Yeah, so that's super thin foundation. The regular foundation can be about twice as thick, and that would you'd use the wires. You really need a frame to do it. You put the frame on a wiring frame, and then you run the wires through. You get it super tight. I've never actually done it. I've never used them. And then you take an embedder tool and embed the wire into the.
kind of crinkles it or something.
Yeah.
To draw it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is for cut comb.
Yeah.
And there's a thicker one for.
Yeah, if you're going to use wax foundation in your brood chambers. Yeah, that plastic foundation works great. Yeah, so that one, all you got to do is just, I meant to bring one. You just pop it in. You ready for the frame jig? I bet you the bees will still use it.
you demonstrate how to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's your jig.
I haven't found anyone that sells one of these. So I made it. It's really wasn't hard to make. I made it with a jigsaw. This was actually, I built this a long time ago. It's actually made out of red oak. When you could actually buy that stuff without going broke. A pine one will work just as good though. I can finish assembling stuff later if y'all aren't done. Y'all got to start somewhere.
Just take the whole bottle, okay?
Yeah, I mean, if you need it, yeah.
We're gluing everything together.
Oh, see, I don't ever glue those joints in between the boards.
What's that glass?
So with the frame jig, you just, I mean, these boards just slide in and out. It's just got notches in each corner. I got these plans off of, I don't remember where. I just Googled frame jig and downloaded them and just built it to the plans. The only cut you have to make is on the, to get them to length, and then just this notched out. And then if you jack this notch up and it's a little too loose, you can use take business cards and slide them in there. A business card. Use it for a shim.
There's one at Texas Bee Supply.
Yeah.
They have a frame jig.
Yeah.
Oh, do they? And you just put a little dab on each one.
How come you got the good glue nut and we got the crappy one?
I just bought this thing. This thing is awesome.
Where'd you get it? Amazon?
I get everything from Amazon. If it ain't on Amazon, they don't make it. And then you can spread this around if you want, but
Oh, yeah, that's pretty. That's really cool. Oh, yeah.
I can go hunting. That's the point.
I don't know how well this would work with deep frames since it's not very thick. Because, well, when I built this, I only kept mediums. So I use smaller lumber, I think.
You might have to use taller lumber for it.
Yeah, you might have to use taller lumber to make it.
Yeah, this is way faster than
Right. Much faster.
Yeah, that's even faster.
Right here.
Oh, battery. Oh, battery. Yeah.
They actually make one of these that does staples. I just haven't had enough money to buy it yet.
Top part of that.
That's
Now you got to buy a whole nother gun. It's 100 and these are actually like, yeah, one of them went out the side. They're like 1.25 inches, I think.
those are.
Yeah, way overkill. Yeah,
5/8 board.
yeah, something like that.
Whoops.
I'm missing a few of these, but it's a brad nailer.
Brad nailer?
Yeah, a little bit different, but not much. You just flip this whole thing over. And do the same thing. Yeah, so if you're going to do more than one hive, a frame jig is worth making.
Or if you're going to be replacing your boards on some.
Yeah, you're supposed to replace frames every 3 years, 5 years, 3 to 5 years.
So you gotta
Depends on who you listen to.
Yeah,
Got a 10-year-old. 10-year-old.
Some that are pretty old.
Are they wobbly?
Well, I pop out the, clean out the wax off of it.
They glue them back together for you.
Yeah, the wood. Why throw the wood away?
You're just doing it because the wax is contaminated, right?
Yeah, it's for the chemicals in it. The wood can get contaminated too, though.
The wood can contaminate the wax.
I mean, the wood can absorb chemical, pesticides and stuff. It's porous, so.
Pesticides that bees bring in, or pesticides in the wood?
Besides the breeze,
Bees bring in.
yeah, like when people spraying Roundup and all whatever else they're spraying there.
Yeah, it accumulates in your hive.
Yeah,
It accumulates all the time.
wax is a real good absorber of all kinds of good fun chemicals. Like they did a study a while back, a couple years ago, on the foundation that these companies were selling, and all of it had all the miticides in it that we've been using for years. Just because it's in the wax supply. So I don't know if I buy these again. Not real impressed with their milling.
These days,
Yeah, these are dating. I'd have to look at the prices, but I mean they're perfectly usable. But I've seen better.
Now it's fast. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep, so. Should we spin this around?
You have
Oh, yeah, I'll show them to you in just a second. They're just square nails. It's like they look just like pen nails, but they're square. A little tiny bit of one. Oh. You just pull these boards out, and then that's 10 frames. If you're real hardcore, I've seen the. Oh yeah, it's a brad nailer. It's almost the same thing. And if you're real hardcore, you can make this longer and do 20, 30 frames. And I brought some other stuff just to show. So this is a mini mating nook if you're raising queens. You're supposed to put 2 cups of bees in there, which is like, I don't know, like 500 or 600 bees. And it has little bitty plastic frames. I hadn't actually tried one of these yet. It's got a feeder. Oh, it's missing the piece. There's supposed to be a piece right here. It's a queen excluder. Keep the queen from getting in the feeder. Yeah. Those are just for mating queens. And this circle is actually for a queen cell to sit in. So you put the queen cells in there and they hatch out in there. And it keeps them, it's just to keep them alive long enough for them to get mated. I haven't actually used these yet. I'm gonna try a couple of them next year just to experiment with. These are the nook boxes I love. I get these from Dayton. They're plywood. They're like think they're $28 if you buy one at a time. They're super cheap. And then the only thing, they do come pre-drilled with a hole. These had bees in them this morning. So you're kind of forced to use a quart jar feeder or whatever size jar you can find. I wish huh? Yeah. Yeah, it's a standard mason jar lid. Yeah, I was looking for bigger ones. Yeah, if I could get a gallon. I just haven't been able. Well, I found a couple on Amazon, but they're way too expensive. I might have to check that out. I bought these lids separate. These are one-piece lids, just for ease. And then I just poked two or three little holes in them to feed them. I think I use these little frame nails, little tiny wire nails to poke the hole in. But if you need Nook boxes, this is a very economical way to do it. I've only been using them for like 2 years, so can't really comment on how durable they'll be.
You bought it?
Yeah, they come already assembled, so you don't have to do anything but paint them. Yeah, the box as a whole.
You want to do it the quick and easy way.
And then if you like using those frame jar things, I had a hole saw somewhere. Oh yeah, right here. One thing good about being able to buy all the Chinese stuff now is you can get metric tools. So if you get a metric hole saw, it'll drill this exact same size hole. Yeah. If you buy the American version, it'd be like a 2 7/8 inch hole, which is actually like just a hair too small to get one of these jars in. But if you buy the Chinese version, it's actually metric size. So it's 2 and 25/32 or 71 millimeters, and it fits in there perfect. So if you wanted to use that same thing in other places, you could. I got a bunch of these. I built a bunch of these plywood nooks for mediums. I used to keep nothing but mediums. So I bought the hole saw to drill holes in those. So I actually, with a nuke, a quart jar works pretty good to feed a nuke. What else did he bring? Top feeder, top high feeder. So that you put it on top, you put your syrup in here, and then the bees can crawl up through this. So the center goes all the way through. So the bees can crawl up in here, and then they'll get on this wire mesh and go down to whatever level the liquid is.
So they're not in here.
Yeah, they don't get in
The
there.
liquid's in here. The bees are inside that.
Yeah, one of the things I've seen with these, especially the older ones, is sometimes they'll get a gap in right here, and then the bees can get in the liquid, and you open it up, they'll be floating all on top, all dead. And then if your lid doesn't fit well on top, they can get in. If they get in the side, you'll kill all the bees in that hive, and all your neighbors' hives will get in there and drown. It'll just it'll be a mat of bees. Good thing about these is you can put a lot in there. So if you don't get out to your hives very often, like if they're in a remote location, you can put a lot of feed in one of these. Like the feed, I usually use in-hive division board feeders. Oh yeah, I had slides for everything. That's all right. And then I use the in-hive feeders, but they can only hold 1 gallon. On a full hive, that only lasts a week or 2 at the most.
I used to have to do that every day.
Yeah. The quart jars on a full size hive, that's a day. That's why I only use them for nukes. After that, I use the division board feeders. With these, you can put 4 gallons in here. So that'll last, on a full size hive, that might last a month or more. The only thing I don't like about these, really, the main reason I quit using them was because I'd fill all these up to 4 gallons, and for some reason I'd have to get back in the hive, and this is on top. So you have to lift up this thing with 10 pounds, what is that, 40 pounds of sugar water in it, and it's sloshing everywhere. And then you create a robin frenzy in the yard, and I don't really like these, but they do have their advantages. All the feeders that they make all work. The only one I would not use is a Boardman feeder. The ones that go in the entrance, those are terrible.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, don't use that. Get something else.
I mean, they work okay, except if you get a lot of robin, you get a lot of extra bees in there. So you're more likely to get transfer of varroa mites, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just
Diseases.
another disease vector sort of for your.
Or if you have a weak hive, they could just get completely robbed out.
Yeah.
So that's the only feeder I would say do not use is the Boardman. These work, in hive feeders work, the quart jars work. What else is there?
I was going to tell them about my books.
Oh, go ahead.
So I brought the 4 books that are recommended through the Master Beekeeping Program. I recommend reading the First Lessons of Beekeeping by Keith McLean. It's a great book. I did all my beekeeping for the last 5 years with only this book. And I've been another great book. Diana Samatero and Alphonse Affentaville.
That's my house address. If you show up, bring beer. So that's my house address. If you show up, bring beer. Me too. Yeah.
Actually, look forward to that year. And this is anything from this is more it's really interesting to learn all about the different, all about the bees, biology, and sort of how they
All right.
social insects. It's really pretty in depth. It's also a really good book. So if I was only going to get one book, I would either get one. I would get one of these first 3, and then once you've read those and you really want to get into it, read this one or read all 4 of these. But they're all really good books. So I just brought those home because I think those really help.
I like darks.
Learning what you're doing.
Oh, I like them all except the IPAs.
I like some IPAs. They're not all. Some IPAs are okay. They're not tough. They're more fruity,
Yeah.
more floral.
The only thing about those books I would keep in mind is that beekeeping is all super local, and most of those books are written by
People in the North.
Yankees.
So yeah. So when they talk about
Surviving.
when they talk about check your bees like in March to begin with, it's like
Yeah, in March your bees have already starved to death.
so we're starting mid-January. Their March is our mid-January.
Yeah. And then they talk about, wrapping your hives in the winter and putting up windbreaks. Do none of that.
That's true. All right, should we wrap this up?
Yeah, I guess.
8:30.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I gotta get home.
Our table built all your parts.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. I got half my work done for this spring.
First lesson of beekeeping. And Mike just bought one online for $5. So you can get this book cheap.
Are you gonna adjourn the meeting, Joe, or we just?
Oh, you want to do door prizes?
Door prizes. Did everybody get a door prize ticket? Everybody get a door prize ticket. Yeah. All right. Take one half, the other half, and half. Who else needs a door prize ticket? Anybody? Come on, everybody put their line out. All right, so we have. This is a slightly used hospital now.
That's fine.
We have 2 hats.
Oh,
You really should have one, or we can just keep track of when you're going to lose. Your bees are going to die on you. All right. I want to put together. Can you hear me? All right. All right. I'll draw it. Somebody read the number because I don't have my glasses. Oh, wait, I can read this. 263724. If you want this hat, that. Okay, great. All right. 726. All right. You started beekeeping yet? Not yet. All right. Hat, hive tool. Hive tool it is. All right. All right. Now we have 2 hats. Oops. And the winner is 729. You want this hat or that hat? All right. Hold on a second. All right. And the Hive Thrive Apiaries hat goes to 731. Is that you? All right. There's your hat. 731. There's yours. That's it. There's your hat. Yeah. All right. Okay. So everybody, to do this thing this Saturday, you need to go online to either our Facebook page or look in the SCEP. Gives you a link to go to sign up for it. You need to get signed up by tomorrow so that Texas Bee Supply knows how many people will show up. No, because they're not keeping track. We're telling them how we have coming. And then the beer joint doesn't care how many of us show up. So for that part, doesn't matter. But for Texas Bee Supply, we need to show them some respect and call them in advance. By the way, a lot of our gifts that we give out here, Texas Bee Supply donated to us. So they support us a lot. They're great. And then and our next meeting is actually on November 15th. That'll be our potluck dinner, honey competition tasting, and actual board elections. And then on November 3rd through 5th is the Texas Beekeeper Association conference, and that is in Temple, Texas. Highly recommended that as well. Okay, see you guys all Saturday, I hope. Thank you. Thanks, Kyle. Okay, I can turn this off if I can figure out how to do it.